Welcome back to the channel. You joined me in the middle of January on a cold garage floor underneath the back of an MG Midget. As you can see, the car's been completely stripped at the back in preparation for the 2023 MG Car Club Speed Series. Now the process starts of rebuilding it. And so that brings us to this video. First thing to go back on is the leaf springs, and one of the upgrades that I'll be making this year is fitting anti-tramp bars. I've gone for the frontline kit, which comes in this nice box, and inside the box we have the kit consisting of 2 anti-tramp bars, 2 lots of mounting brackets, a selection of nuts and bolts to put the whole thing together, and no kit would be complete without a set of instructions. So anti-tramp bars are probably overkill on a 100 brake horsepower midget, but nevertheless, if you think about what the sprint midget is doing, it's doing around 40 to 50 miles per year, and in that time it's doing 40 to 50 standing starts. So let's think about what happens when we do a standing start. So let's think about what happens when you do a standing start. You hit the gas and all that power from the engine is going through the prop shaft down to the differential and then across the differential onto the springs. Because of the lowering spacers on the rear axle, that means there's more leverage for that torque to go through the axle, down the U-bolts onto the spring, and in turn what that does on hard acceleration is wind the spring up, potentially bending it and twisting it. So as the spring gets wound up, it gets to a point where it lets go, it releases backwards, and that potentially can cause the car to tramp, which is where the back wheel starts to bob up and down. So anti-tramp bars are designed to hold the back end more stable, absorb some of that power that's transmitted to the rear end, and mean you get a smoother takeoff without any bobbing and potentially wheel spin on the back wheels. Again, I'm thinking the benefit on a 100 brake horsepower midget is probably going to be minimal. You know, this is not a V8 pickup truck at the end of the day, but nevertheless, what it will do is protect the axle from damage, protect the springs from damage, doing sprinting. So the way this works is we have a bracket here which is mounted onto the front suspension mounting. So where the leaf spring mounts at the front, we'll mount this bracket. This bracket here will mount onto the center of the spring where the U-bolts come through, and then between that we have a bar that runs in parallel with the spring, so in effect creating a double wishbone type effect on the rear spring. A fairly easy install then. So first thing to do is, on mounting up the spring, is get this one in place on the back. That will then give me a mounting for the bar. So as the axle gets put back in place, we can fit this one to the underneath of the spring and then connect the bar up. Okay, so there you can see the front bracket mounted up. The kit comes with some longer screws here, so that goes through the existing spring mount, firmly holding that on, and what I've done is loosely attached the anti-tramp bar rod, ready to attach to the rear axle here. So far a pretty easy install. So now with the axle refurbished and dropped back in on top of the leaf springs, it's a fairly easy job now to dry assemble our anti-tramp bar bracketry to the bottom of the axle. So let's get that done. Right, so there we go. We've got a lowered spring, leaf spring, with a lowering spacer. We've got the 2 extended U-bolts holding the axle, and then down below we've got our lower plate complete with the panhard rod bolt that's been welded on, and now we've got an extra bracket underneath for the anti-tramp bar that goes to the front suspension. So I've assembled this all loosely so I know all the nuts are on, so it should be quite easy now just to get the ratchet spanner and tighten it all up to a finished state. Interestingly, You get new nuts with the Frontline kit, and they give you a torque, 27 pounds-feet, which I've never seen a torque given for these nuts before, so now I have one. Right, let's get it tightened up. There we go then, all fully installed. We've got our anti-tramp bar on the bottom, our U-bolts holding it all together. And as you can see, the tramp bar goes to the front of the suspension, and hopefully will stop this this leaf spring twisting on hard acceleration. Fantastic. So another little improvement for the car, all in readiness for our 2023 season. So on with the rebuild and the improvements. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. See you on the next video.